Brother Asad, can you
Yeah.
please give us a brief introduction to yourself? And can you just tell us about the global halal market size and what is covered under the halal umbrella? While also, can you mention the biggest suppliers and exporters of halal certified products in the world, along with who are the biggest customers?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is a brief introduction about our organization. It's International Halal Certification, and we are proud to be a partner of American Halal Institute for Halal Certification and Trainings. International Halal Certification, or IHC as we are known internationally, is a premium halal body which has the privilege to be accredited, which is recognized and approved by the National Accreditation Body of UAE, which is the most distinguished halal accreditation body in the world. And also, we are approved by the Emirates Authority for Standards and Metrology. We're also accredited by the Pakistan National Accreditation Council, and we are proud to be a member of the World Halal Council, that is the Halal uh, Council for International Certification Bodies. At the moment, we are currently working in 15 countries, offering certification and training. So this is a bit about our organization. Moving on to the global halal market. So the question which you have is, what is the global halal market and the size and what all it covers as the first part. The international economic experts and gurus have given the size of the halal food market, which is only the edibles, about $600+ billion a year. That's the turnover based on the Muslim population, the Muslim consumer of almost 1.8 billion Muslims. But if you include the non-Muslims who consume halal, the figure will be much higher. But if you take food and non-food together, we are talking about a $3 trillion market. And this is huge. Every year, a $3 trillion is traded under the umbrella, under the label, under the brand of halal. This is my favorite copy of Times magazine. This is the cover of 2009 of Times, when Times gave it on the cover. And you can see Times have coined the word economy, halal economy. So from 2010 onwards, we all started using the word halal economy. And at that time, which is 11 years ago, it was more than $1 trillion, as you can read where my cursor is. So now we're talking about $2 to $3 trillion a year. Now, when we talk about the $1 trillion, we have divided the products under three categories, the halal umbrella, as we call it: food, non-food, and services. Food is all consumables. I'll quickly go through it. It covers everything, which is ingredients, raw materials, packaged and processed food and beverage. This category almost covers everything that you have: the processed food and beverage, all type of agriculture products, including seafood and the special foods, baby foods, herbal and health foods, the flavors and fragrances which go into the food, the food service restaurants, cafes, fast food catering, the food part of these food service agencies. Meat and poultry abattoir, the slaughterhouses, of course. The pharmaceutical and nutraceutical we have added because they are also consumables. We eat them. So the part which we eat are included here, and other herbal and medications, homeopathic and etc. So this is a brief. The non-food covers cosmetics, personal care, body care, toiletries, perfumes. Moving on, animal and poultry feed, leather products, apparel and accessories. Again, pharma and nutraceuticals are non-consumable, which we don't eat. And packaging and processing material and equipment of food and non-food is included. Moving on to the service sector, which is very important component. It starts with the Islamic finance, halal finance, but then we don't talk about that right now. Our focus is on other aspects. Starting from halal tourism, which is halal hospitality, huge sector. Halal processing and packaging, the service bit, the complete supply chain. Halal food services, the catering, hotel, restaurant. Back there, I mentioned the food. Now it is the service of these industries. Halal consultancy, which includes audit, certification, testing, etc., etc. And then halal logistics, very important. This is important to ensure that the halal products remains halal from its origin to the consumer. So from when the, let's say, the meat is slaughtered down to when it comes on your plate. And that's why, as Brother Salah has mentioned earlier, from farm to fork is what we call it. So throughout the supply chain, from the trucking, the warehousing, the storage, even the sales place area, the distribution, everything is has to be separate. Everything has to be segregated. Now, opportunities. Halal covers a complete range of products, which is offered in supermarkets. You can find in five-star hotels, restaurants, fast food chains, airlines, school dinners, military food, and even the prisons have started offering halal. It's a lifestyle choice with a wide range of products. And this movement of halal products globally has created entire new value chains, which includes halal logistics, halal security, halal storage, and halal industrial development. Industrial development includes the halal food parks, halal export zones, halal industrial parks. This is the new concept which came into existence about 10 years ago, and especially in Malaysia. And now they have more than a dozen halal parks where foreign companies from all over the world have invested. So this is very, very interesting for any country which wants to develop halal. Now, when we talk about billions and trillions of dollars, Brother Ibrahim, the first thing which comes to my mind is who's the exporter, who's the supplier. Somebody's making money. Is it Saudi Arabia, the biggest Muslim country, Egypt, Turkey, Pakistan? Which Muslim country is making the money? When we do the research, we find out the 10 biggest halal manufacturers and exporters are non-Muslim countries. Here you go. India, Brazil, Australia, USA, Argentina, New Zealand, France, Thailand, Philippines, and Singapore are enjoying almost 80 to 85% of the global halal market. We spoke about the billions and trillions of dollars, ladies and gentlemen. These 10 countries have the major share of this billion-trillion-dollar market. India is still the biggest exporter of halal meat in the world. Thailand, which is a Buddhist country for that matter, is the biggest exporter, manufacturer, and exporter of halal products in the world. Now, in the Muslim countries, Malaysia and Indonesia are the two main Muslim countries which have 10 to 15% of the share. Other countries include Turkey, Iran, UAE, and most recently KSA. Saudi Arabia has become active. But the main chunk is with these 10 biggest countries I've mentioned above. Some of the very basic figures, I'll quickly go through it. Brazil exports more than 1 million frozen halal chickens every year. France, 750,000 metric tons of halal frozen chickens annually. USA is the fourth largest beef exporter in the world, and more than 80% of the US frozen beef exports is halal. New Zealand is the fifth largest beef exporter. More than 40% of New Zealand beef exports are halal. Who are the consumers? Who is paying the money? This is the last bit of the question, almost. We have divided it into continent. Asia has got more than 1.1 billion halal consumers, the biggest chunk. Africa's, including East, West, and North, South, and Central, 500,000 halal consumers. Europe, more than 50 million halal consumers, including Russia. Americas, including USA, Brazil, Canada, and Caribbean, have got more than 10 million halal consumers. Oceania, the smallest one, includes New Zealand, Australia, Fiji, about 500,000. This is, ladies and gentlemen, your halal target market in the world, where the consumers are lying. Some basic figures: Europe is buying more than $66 billion a year. France alone is spending $17 billion on halal. UK meat sale figures more than $600 million a year. America is spending almost $13 billion on halal food annually. The GCC, including UAE, the Gulf countries, together are importing more than $26 billion worth of halal products, from which Saudi is alone $12 billion. Indonesia, the biggest Muslim country, the biggest bill, $70 billion. Other major importers include Malaysia, Egypt, Iran, Africa, and other Muslim countries. So these are some of the figures for your interest. Some people ask me if there's any potential. Can we invest? Is there any scope in the future for halal? So I'm giving you this second last slide. This is a research done by Dinar Standard, which is a US based company. Now they have a big office in UAE. They did a special report for the government of UAE. It's called Global Islamic Economy Report. Every year they update this report. And this is the most authentic halal research and report in the world. So their 2019-2020 report has given halal divided into 7 sectors. You can see, and this is based on 2018 figures. Halal food, 1.3 trillion in 2018. Cosmetics, 64 billion. Modest fashion, $283 billion. This is modest fashion is primarily for the Muslim ladies, what they wear. Halal travel and tourism, $189 billion. Media and recreation, $220 billion. Halal pharma and nutraceuticals, $92 billion. And finance, we are not talking about it. That is separate. So the first 6 are the most important. And here is the potential of 2024 as per the Dinar Standards latest report. In 2024, food from 1.3 trillion is exceeding to 1.9 trillion. Halal cosmetics from 64 to 95. Modest fashion, 280 billion to 400 billion. Travel and tourism, 189 to 274. And pharmaceutical from 92 to 134, including nutraceutical. So there's a huge growth. You can see anybody who wants to invest is most welcome. This is the potential, and this is the true research. Some figures from our side, our research, important markets to focus. For the companies who are into meat business, China is the biggest market. I've been to China so many times. The local population is double the size of the entire Gulf countries, which is a huge requirement, a major requirement of halal products. So the biggest scope is in meat, because Chinese, they love meat everywhere, whether it's non-halal or halal. They eat meat in every meal, meat and rice, the 2 most staple food for Chinese. The total population, as you know, 1.2 billion, but there are more than 100 million halal consumers. So if everybody starts exporting 48 hours a day, you don't have 48 hours, but if you export 48 hours a day, you still cannot meet the Chinese requirement of meat. This is a huge market for halal and otherwise. The other markets for non-food, I'll point out especially cosmetics. Alone, it right now it's worth 64 billion, with the potential of growing to 95 billion by 2024. The UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and the other Gulf countries, including the MENA countries, the Middle East and North Africa, Morocco, Tunis, Algeria, Libya, they are the biggest importers of halal cosmetics. So there's a huge potential for cosmetic and personal care industry to brand their products as halal to reach into this space. This is a big space waiting for you, big opportunity. Another one is for the textile companies, because modest fashion is very easy. 200 billion turnover right now, potential of doubling to 400 billion by 2024. And the fashion shows of the Rams in New York, London, Italy, Spain, and many other countries, they have been showing modest fashion in the fashion shows already for many years. So all the textile rich countries, including USA, should take advantage from this huge market. Last year in New York Fashion Show, there was a modest fashion entry from a local US designer. So if you are anywhere close to the textile industry, you better concentrate on modest fashion. And in service sector, halal tourism, despite the corona, there's still big future. You know, the turnover was 180 billion, potential 270 billion by 2024. It covers all the airlines we travel in, the hotels we stay in, and the destination we go to. This is the halal umbrella. So all major international bodies are focusing on halal tourism, including the non-Muslim countries. I'll give you two quick examples. Thailand, everybody knows Thailand is famous for tourism, but different kind of tourism. Since a few years, Thai government is concentrating on halal tourism, and they are holding conferences. My sister concern is organizing halal conference for last 7 years in Bangkok. And in Phuket, which is a very famous beach in Thailand, they have organized 4 halal tourism conferences. Can you believe that? And people from all over the world are going to Thailand to attend the halal events. Second example is Japan. In Japan, one of the most famous destination is the Tokyo uh, Disney. People go from all over the world to Tokyo Disney. You know, the area close to Tokyo Disney is called Chiba. Chiba is the name of the districts. They call it prefecture in Japanese. So the Chiba prefecture, the mayor of Chiba decided to convert the entire Chiba district into halal friendly. So the tourists can come and stay over there and feel at home. And that's a non-Muslim country. So starting from the airport down to the food places in Chiba, all welcoming halal tourists. So these are two examples, because all these countries are doing is for the economic benefit, and it should be a special focus to brand your country's tourism from wherever which country you are, uh, including the USA. Focus on halal tourism to attract the focus customers. So this is the answer I tried to cover in my short presentation. Thank you.